Good day, good folks. You are listening to Talk That Keeps You Woke. And with your awakening, we hope that you will take in the information and knowledge we provide. So make sure you like and subscribe while you hop on this ride as we inform, persuade, entertain, and engage in discussion. Welcome to Pot Liquor Podcast, which is knowledge to feed your soul. I make up one half of Pot Liquor. I go by Dr. A, the inquisitive one, a great debater, Mr. Slow Talker, a rhetorician, and an all-around nice guy, and a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. The other half of Pot Liquor is my homie, my dear friend for more than 30 years, Kim Parker Jackson Esquire, the legal one, Mrs. Creativity, never obnoxious, the gifted one, a terrific lady, and a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Well, good friends, we welcome you aboard. This is podcast number 59, almost near a big number for us. And without further ado, I would like to say what's up with my partner and how was your past week?
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. I am well. My week was good. And how about yours, Dr. A? How was your week?
Everything's good. Getting ready for this convention that's going on in July in Chicago. So other than that, I am fine. And we like to thank the listeners for tuning in to Pot Liquor Podcast. And as you know, our favorite listeners that check us out all the time, we start the show off with the wow of the week. And that stands for
Words of Wisdom.
All right. The oldie but goodie, W.E.B. Du Bois. Education is the development of power and ideal. I just think basically he's saying information and knowledge lends and brings about power. Being intelligent and knowing how to move and make good decisions with the information you get is ideal. So those of us who know the history of W.E.B. Du Bois, you know, he was a big educator, and he was into education. So that's what I think he's just laying this out as a simple foundation. What say you?
I agree with everything you said. And the only thing that I would add is you focused on more on the power. I focused a little bit on the ideal. And because I think ideal is what we can conceive with our imagination. And with education, which, as you said, exposes you to knowledge, information, and the ability to analyze that knowledge and information, that what in turn allows you to imagine what is possible. And so to me, that in itself is powerful. Being able to imagine what is possible. So yes, these are indeed words of wisdom.
Okay, well spoken.
And let us move on.
Oh, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
All right, here we have it. Howard takes away Diddy honorary degree. What's your thoughts about this?
Well, I think that it is appropriate under the circumstances. I think, first of all, Diddy received an honorary degree from Howard University in 2016, I believe it was. Was it 2016?
14.
2014, he received the honorary degree.
Yeah.
And I think they bestowed this distinct honor upon him based on several things. I think it was based on his success in the music industry, but it was also based on his behavior, I think, and his character. And since all of the allegations have come out about his sex trafficking, and since we've seen the horrible video of him abusing Cassie, there is a clear question about his character. And so I think that at a university whose motto is truth and service, this allowing him to retain this honor and accepting the $1 million gift that he gave to Howard would condone, I think, this behavior that he displayed in the video. And therefore, it's not consistent with the mission of the university. And so that's why I think it's appropriate that they rescinded it. And they also discontinued a scholarship program that was named after him. Again, citing the video that showed him violently attacking Cassie in the hallway of a Los Angeles hotel. So according to what the university has stated publicly, Mr. Combs's behavior is so fundamentally incompatible with Howard University's core values and beliefs that he is deemed no longer worthy to hold the institution's highest honor. The university is unwavering in its opposition to all acts of interpersonal violence. And so I think that what they have done is consistent with the statement that they have made about it. And again, it is the appropriate course of action under the circumstances, because we all know that video was horrific. It's been etched in our minds. We cannot unsee it. And I totally stand with my alma mater in their decision. What say you?
Well, I understand what Howard is trying to do. But one thing I say about us is when I say us, I'm talking about America, not just the African American community. When somebody slides down a hole, we abandon them. We disassociate ourselves. I don't think that's the time to do so with that, because we look at some problems in society. Well, they need help with that. I think Sean Combs needs help. I think somebody needs to wrap their arms around him. Whether he is in prison for what he did, if he goes to jail or not, someone needs to try to reach out to him and guide him correctly. I think sometimes, and this is because of media, we see things and it's caught in the public, and then I hear people just go ham on an individual, like they've never done anything wrong in their life. And I'm leery of people who respond that way. I understand why Howard dropped him, but I would have been okay if they would have kept him. Just because you're wrapping your arms around him, that doesn't mean you forgive him for what he has done. God forgives, though. Um, and I think sometimes you can make a statement that says, we feel like Sean Combs is in a desperate need of some help.
Hmm.
And on that, we're going to, you know, stay. If you want to get the money back to make sure you say this isn't a money thing, or if you do drop them and still support them, that's something too. I just think a lot of people is just throwing gasoline on a burning fire already, and who's stepping up to help put that fire out?
Now, I agree with one thing you said. You said uh, if you drop him and still support him, then I'm okay with that. And that was the point that I was going to make. You're not, Howard is not necessarily abandoning Diddy because they rescinded an honor that they bestowed upon him. This is what they're doing publicly, but we don't know whether they've reached out to him privately and offered support for him on his journey to recovery.
Yeah, but
and becoming a better man. You don't know that
there's no statement of that. There's a statement of them disassociating.
because this they also have to consider their public stance. They have to consider public relations. They have to consider not being a hypocritical institution, saying one thing and doing another thing. Their mission and their statements have to be consistent. Their mission, their statement, their actions have to all be consistent. If you want to maintain credibility as an institution, that's what you have to do. Now, that doesn't mean, as you said, that they're abandoning him. And that doesn't even mean that they're not willing to eventually forgive him. I think people who understand the nature of forgiveness are willing to forgive even Diddy under these circumstances. Probably even Cassie is willing to forgive him. But we need to see, number one, we have to see an acceptance of responsibility or an accountability. We have to see a sincere apology. We have to see an effort to recover from whatever is ailing you and causing you to exhibit this behavior. And then we have to see a repentance. We have to see a total change in who you are and in your actions and in your behavior. And we have to make sure that we never see any type of domestic abuse from you again. That's what it's going to require, because then we'll know that you have
So to me,
rehabilitated yourself.
To me, there's plenty of times and there's plenty of things of what Sean Combs did in the past where Howard could have rescinded or took away his honorary degree, and they haven't. So
what's wrong with that? If they felt that it didn't rise to the level to warrant a rescinding of this honorary degree.
Okay, well, the behavior was violent behavior. So this is a violent behavior. So I don't know why it wouldn't ascend to those.
No. You said before now they never rescinded. He's done.
Yeah, never rescinded. He has done plenty of things. And I'm saying now, because this is a domestic violence situation, Howard is chirping. They're getting on their high horse because of this. There's several other things that Diddy has done that Howard didn't make any grandstand against. But this one right here,
for example,
taking a bottle in the club and smashing Steve Stout over the head with it. That's violence.
Oh, okay.
And he has done violent things to other people, allegedly, quote unquote.
Well,
so
that's true.
what I'm saying is that I don't think your diatribe is what we need to see. I don't think we need to see anything. I think he just needs to be on a road to recovery, and hopefully that Howard would show some support in helping him with that. Nothing's going to turn around in a day.
What do you mean we don't need to see anything?
Yeah, we don't need to see anything because we shouldn't be the judge and jury of Sean Combs.
Nobody is judging him or
They
being
are.
the jury. No. Well, listen.
They're judging him against Howard standards. You just said that.
Didn't he make a public apology and ask for forgiveness?
He did.
Okay. So if he wants to receive let me speak for myself. If he wants to receive my forgiveness, I'm going to need to see a change of behavior. So what if we see another domestic violence video come out of him abusing someone else? I'm supposed to like forgive you when you haven't.
No, I'm not saying
changed your behavior?
I'm not saying anything.
So yes, we do need to see something though. That's my point. What do you mean we don't need to? If you asking me for,
I don't think we
I'm gonna need to see
are you
something.
are you saying that because we saw something in the public? Because we've already seen a lot of things he has done that's altruistic. He has given
No,
support.
I'm saying if you want
helped.
me to forgive you for what you did to Cassie, then I need to know that you have changed your behavior. You have changed your violent ways against women and other people. And so I'm going to need to see that that is true. So like I said,
How do you see that?
like, well, how do we know that we're not going to see another video? So
I mean, I don't know why I'm trying to figure out your point from bringing that up.
well, I think
Until I don't see another video.
Well, here's the thing. People have started to come out of the woodwork with allegations against him and filing complaints against him.
They've been
and
doing
so
that.
I'm bracing for another violent video of him abusing someone. I just need to as you said, Howard did not take this draconian measure of rescinding this honorary degree until now. And you mentioned other violent acts that Diddy has perpetrated against other people, right?
Yeah, I mean,
so
we talked about sex trafficking.
Is it possible that is why this Howard chose this moment to rescind rescind the honorary degree instead of the first time they saw the violence, the second time they saw the violence, the third time so can you argue that they gave him opportunities to change his behavior?
I mean,
so now this is the straw that broke. Is it possible this is the straw that broke the camel's back?
I mean, that's plausible.
And he's had opportunity.
That's plausible.
Yeah.
It's plausible because we can't say it has happened or it hasn't happened.
What has happened or what hasn't happened?
That they've spoken to him before after he's done some things that were not sightly in the public eye or heard about things.
True, but I'm just talking in terms of this drastic draconian measure of rescinding the honorary degree.
Why are you calling it draconian?
Because, well, I mean, according to you, that's what it is. You're like,
it's not. I don't know how you get coming with that. I said nothing about draconian.
Oh, you said Howard was on their high horse and now they want to take away the honorary degree and he,
I didn't say it with that tonality either. So you're shifting.
Okay, let me ask you
what
this.
I'm basically saying is, I said I understand why they took away their degree.
I know you understand it, but do you think it's right or wrong? That's the question.
The statement to me is, are you going to help this young man, this middle-aged man on top of that?
But the question, what we're discussing is whether Howard's actions are appropriate under the circumstances.
I can see that being appropriate, but I still felt if they have and the reason why I said that is because if they didn't take it away, I wouldn't call them inappropriate. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't have a mark
So
against
you don't
how
want to
we
take
work.
a side. You want to be on the fence.
No, I'm not on the fence. I just said that I see a lot of people piling up because of this gentleman's wrongdoing. So I'm saying,
Okay. I
where's the
said,
where's the Christian love
okay,
coming
I
in?
got you. And I said that I think it's appropriate. Do you think it's appropriate or not? I know you understand why they did it. I want to know, do you think
I
it's,
do
do you
think it's
support it?
appropriate, but I
Okay.
also think I wouldn't have found it inappropriate if they didn't take it away. That's all I'm
Okay.
saying.
So then I think that you're on the fence.
I'm not on the fence.
You are.
No, I'm not. If someone says, "Hey, it's appropriate," and somebody else says it's not appropriate, then I can see. I wouldn't say it's not appropriate, but I can see I'm not going to call it inappropriate if they didn't take it away. So I'm not on the fence. Like, I don't know if you do, or I don't know if you don't. What I'm saying is, either way, it would have been. It's all right with me. I'm not mad they took it away. I wouldn't be celebrating it if they let them keep it. I'm just saying, to me, now the work comes in with Sean Combs.
I agree.
Okay.
And let us move on.
Okay. Is there too much activism at the Ivy League schools? Employers seem to think so. So, with everything that's going on between Israel and Palestine, there's a lot of protests and activism going on at these schools, Ivy League schools, other institutions around the country. And it seems like employers are taking a step away from those that are being activists. And that's weird and strange to me. What say you?
You said it's weird and strange.
To me, yeah, that somebody is standing up for a cause and employers are like, yeah, I don't like that cause you standing up for. Now, if you're going to bring that type of activism to the job and it's going to mess up my bottom line, yeah, then I don't want you working for me.
I kind of agree with you because you would think that people would value that, especially considering that you go to school to learn and hopefully develop ideas and beliefs and form your opinion about things affecting the world. And so you would think that employers and everybody would be a proponent of students standing up for what they believe in. And that includes being an activist and having feeling, having strong beliefs about an issue one way or the other. It speaks to being able to analyze certain issues and formulating and arguments about certain issues. I mean, I think that's what education is all about. Not necessarily where you come out on an issue, but how you support your position. And so I think that there's a danger basically of using this as pretext for for students being quote unquote woke. You know how there's this sort of attack against wokeness?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this could be really what we're seeing here, and they're just saying, oh, this is too much activism. And what I found interesting is that they said Ivy League schools are prioritizing activism at the expense of academics.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's not necessarily true that just because you're an activist on campus that you're not studying and you're not getting good grades and you're not doing everything you're supposed to do. So that's what raised a little red flag to me.
But that's usually the case.
What? That
When
students
you
aren't
when you
studying when
when
they
you're when you're doing something especially as strong as this, the activism, you're basically saying, why are we having school when people are getting murdered, right? Lives are being lost, grown women and babies are being killed, and I'm going to be in a classroom at this time where there's an onslaught of things that's going on.
and those
Um,
students in those other countries don't even have schools to go to because they've been bombed. Yeah.
True,
Yeah.
too. So I think that's what they're looking for when they say that, because during our protests back at Morgan State a long time ago, 90, 91, spring of 91. I'm sorry, fall of 90. I mean, spring of 90, excuse me.
These years go by
Yeah,
fast.
we were in the building occupying the administration building, and there were some teachers were trying to say, well, we're going to mark you absence, but then the overall amount of teachers said that we're not going to do that, that y'all should go out and have your voices heard and things of that nature. So an academic can see the voice of reason or the voice of protest clearer than employers. Employers are probably looking at this as like, okay, if this is the personality, that this person is a fighter, then will this individual, excuse me, disrupt our flow of work? That could be an issue or a problem. Um,
But
and
then when you engaged in those activities, didn't you still like do your homework and get good grades and all that?
I did, but I spoke to my teachers. I didn't miss class. I went to class and came back to the building.
But see, here's the thing. I think that this has become a thing since October 7th when Hamas descended upon
Israel.
Israel. And then on these campuses, you have these pro-Palestinian activists and marchers. And some of these employers don't like where these students are coming out. These employers are on the other side. And I think that's where this is coming from. So they're saying, you know what? Ivy League is not all that, I know Ivy League is what everybody aspires to, what many people aspire to. And it's going to guarantee that you're going to get a top tier job. But now, since they have these activists, these pro-Palestinian activists, all of a sudden employers aren't interested in Ivy League grads. So that's where the skepticism comes in for me. But on the other hand, I've always felt like you can still get smart, talented students from other universities that have not traditionally been perceived as prestigious as the Ivy League. And that's indeed what a lot of what employers were saying in this article that we read. For example, this is a CEO. This is an entrepreneur and CEO. Her name is Liz Elting. She said, the longer I hired people, the less correlation I saw between prestigious schools and success within my company. Only hiring from Ivy League schools will leave your organization with a limited and homogeneous talent pool. Now, and she said, companies are discovering that talent can come from anywhere, and they're right. And see, I agree with that. But my only thing, and I've said that, I've long said that, and I've long agreed with that. But I think under these circumstances, they're using that as pretext for really what they're doing is they're coming down on one side of this issue as opposed to being on the other side. So I think they're just pro-Israel employers.
Well, I don't think all of
I'm
these
just gonna call
people.
it like I see
I
it.
don't think all of them are pro-Israel employers.
Well, I have no way of knowing whether all of them are. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying because there's protests on the other side too. That's what's making the issues on campus kind of volatile because you have Jewish students and then you have Middle Eastern students.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
that's where the clash is coming in that area.
But listen to this, Jonte. Listen to this. Listen to this because this directly addresses the point that you just raised. In the article, it says suddenly an Ivy League pedigree has lost its luster for hiring managers who fear onboarding a radical anti-Semite or a woke pro-Palestinian protester. So that bolsters the point that you make.
That's the same thing. That's not either side. If you're a Palestinian supporter or you're a radical anti-Semite,
Yeah,
you're both
that's
against
true.
Israel.
That's true. That bolsters my point then. Sorry, go ahead.
What I was trying to say earlier is that employers have been looking at other institutions to hire people. There's only 8 Ivy League schools. There's thousands of colleges. So there's only 8 Ivy League schools. And then if you put in the other, big time schools, MIT, Stanford, Rice, Duke, Virginia, Georgetown, Michigan, if you put those schools in, with that prestigious Ivy League, yeah, you're talking about 15 to 20 schools. So yeah, there's people that get jobs from all over the place. So that's not the case. Just being in the Ivy League to me just gives you better opportunity to land something. That's all.
Okay, but listen to this. In the article, Adam Lightman Bailey, who runs a law firm in Manhattan, has flat out refused to hire Ivy League graduates for over a decade. He said, "We don't hire from the Ivy League. We want the person with the highest grades who competed with their classmates and grew up without means and have drive. And we got the best candidates by going to the top of the class of the second and third tier schools." And then here's the last one. Another employer said, "I think a big reason why employers are focusing on second tier schools is because the quality of the students at the actual Ivies can be so low. The Ivy League focuses so much on diversity, performative activism, and social impact causes at the expense of academics. At the end of the day, it's really what you do at these universities, the connections you make, how hard you work. Another employer said, I'd rather take the kid who struggles against the odds and works his butt off to get good grades than a kid who got into an Ivy League because his parents bought a building."
So right now, what they're doing is stereotyping Ivy Leaguers. They're saying they all come from great pedigree, which is not true. They all come from rich families, which is not true. They all just kind of coast through life because their parents had it, which is not true. So all of these things that we're starting to hear from one person, and then on the top, you're even coming out with these notions talking about I'm going to a second tier school. Hell, every college is a first tier school.
I know that's right. If you get a degree from there, and that's why.
To me, if you're looking at the Ivy League schools, I only like when you rank them just in what we call prestige and people knowing who these universities are. That doesn't mean that the student that comes out will be better, and what are they calling second tier? Is Georgetown, would you call Georgetown second tier?
Right. And so that's why I made an argument at the beginning that I think this is just pretextual. This is just an excuse they're using it's politically motivated. In other words, this is just an excuse that they're using for being anti-woke, just against people who are quote unquote woke. And that's you can hear it in this sentence where they say the Ivy League focuses so much on diversity. Remember, we had that whole conversation about how people are anti-DEI now. So now this just highlights that they are just, the bottom line is they're against diversity. They're against quote unquote performative activism and social impact causes at the expense of academics. Nobody is doing anything at the expense of academics. These students are smart. They're still going to study. They're still going to do their homework. They're still going to write their papers, and they're still going to earn their degrees. But they're going to do some activism on the side, and you just better get used to it. So these kids different. I think these kids, young people of today, they are built different. They're not all about, oh, let me get this Ivy League education so I can get me a job on Wall Street and I can do. These kids ain't really trying to work like that. This is the generation listen. I'm telling you, this is the generation. They are used to doing things remotely. They working from home. They're not going into no office. They're not punching no clock. They trying to retire early. These kids is different. Okay. So you're not going to intimidate them by telling them, oh, I'm not going to hire you. A lot of them have entrepreneurial minds. In the advent of social media, NIL, OnlyFans, all kind, you can make so much money online. These kids is not tripping off no job. So that's just how I feel about it.
Okay, so I teach at universities, right? And one thing that, since, obtaining my PhD, one thing that kind of, it can irk researchers is generalizations. A lot of generalizations just flat out. These kids, everybody is doing, I'm not going against what you say, but I feel like some of them are doing that. But there's some that's still a slave to the system and a government.
Okay, but those are not the ones that's protesting. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right.
And let us move on.
But I heard that some people don't like the way.
All right. Can a brother get an apartment? What's going on in New York? Actor Wendell Pierce said he was denied an apartment and it was racial. We're like, what's the deal here? Like, do we not know who Wendell Pierce is? I guess everybody doesn't know who.
But you know what? And if you don't know who he is, he tried to make sure you did know with what he said on social media.
Yeah.
He was like, don't get it twisted. For those of you who don't understand my righteous anger, I'm on 2 TV series. He laid out his whole resume. Yeah. He was like,
but even I would even say, even if you weren't, you still shouldn't be denied. Same thing that happened to him happened to me. So actor, and this is coming from USA Today Entertainment. Actor Wendell Pierce, known for his roles in television hits, including The Wire and Jack Ryan, is claiming his application for an apartment in New York was denied, allegedly due to his race. Even with my proof of employment, bank statements, and real estate holdings, a white apartment owner denied my application to rent the apartment in Harlem. Of all places, racism and bigots are real. The Black award-winning actor posted on X Tuesday, there are those who will do anything to destroy the life journey for Black folks. When you deny our personal experience, you are as vile and despicable. So that is the deal with Pierce. What do you have to say about it?
Well, I think the moral of the story for me is that you can't earn your way out of racism. You can't obtain a high enough level of education to shield yourself from racism. Even LeBron and Oprah demonstrated to us that even as famous celebrities, you can't be famous enough to avoid racism. You can't straighten your hair out of racism. You can't bleach your skin out of racism. None of that is more powerful than the force of racism. Just flat out, just hate. Nothing is more powerful than that. So sadly, I think Wendell Pierce, I think, like you said, you shouldn't have. I was going to say, sadly, he had to experience racism because there's really no, and I think that's why he laid out his credentials and laid out his resume, because I think he wanted to demonstrate that what else could it be? What else could it be? I have the financial means. I have the credit. Why would I be denied this apartment? And I think he pointed out that the owner is white and I'm black. Because again, how else can you explain this? And I think that's why he laid it out, not to brag or anything, or not to, because I understand what you're saying. It's like he shouldn't have had to, it shouldn't matter that he has all of these things. Like he shouldn't have to, because it reminds me, for example, of when you see for example, you see unarmed black people get murdered by the police or be killed by the police. And you hear on the news, like maybe a family member laying out why this was a beautiful person that they killed. Like, but wait, but he was such a good boy, and he was in school, and he was in college, and he was earning his degree, and he was an avid writer, and just laying out all his credentials as if they are begging for humanity, begging, and it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter if that person, nobody should have to convince you of their humanity. Like it's innate in every human being that they are worthy of our respect and honor just as a human being. Everyone, we should see the humanity in every human being, regardless of their status in life, regardless of their socioeconomic status, regardless of whether they're doing nothing but sitting on a curb. And that's all they have is in the little bag that's sitting by them on the curb. It shouldn't matter. We're all entitled to humanity. And so I see what you're saying when you say he shouldn't have had to lay all that out. But I think the reason why he did it is because he wanted to show, listen, why else would they deny me? It's because I'm black.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. Same
Mhm.
situation happened to me way back in the fall of 91. I was looking for a place and I had the money and everything dressed to a T and everything, but I have the melanin I've been blessed with. I went to the door and it was an Asian lady and she said, no, and she spoke clear English. She says, I had promised to this to somebody else. They're coming by, so I have to wait, blah, blah, blah. I said, I asked you over the phone if I had the money, would you be able to deal me in and move me in today? And you said yes. No, yeah, but I forgot. So I had a white friend of mine, my mentor, call, give a specific name, and ask, was the apartment taken already? She says, no, it's not. And
No,
he said, have you shown it to anybody or promised it to anybody? She said, no, it's not. So when he got finished, I went right back upstairs, knocked on the door. I said, you just spoke to Bruce such and such, and you just told him that the apartment is not available. I get it. You don't want to rent to somebody that looks like me. No, 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 no. I said, I understand. Have a good day. And I left. And I just
oh,
did that for, I don't know, to be gratified or just feel
okay. Well,
good.
can you back up and describe the look on her face when when you
She just
busted her.
turned. She turned completely red.
Yes,
That's
and she was
exactly what
Asian.
she did. She turned completely red. She was embarrassed. She tried. She didn't have a response really. She just was caught out there. And I waited. I went right downstairs and called. I said, "Can you do this for me?" I said, "Call me back at this number." This is. I had. They had to call the payphone back, and they did. Said it's done. I went right back upstairs. It was less than 5 minutes because I knew when I got to the door that it was a surprise. Like, I'm not going to rent to a black person. I don't trust them with my apartment and all the
Mm,
stereotypes that come with it. So,
wow.
I
Yeah,
get it because I understand media. So I
it
get it.
it definitely happens. It definitely happens.
The media feeds you one thing and then your racism takes over.
Yep.
You go with that. So that was.
And let us move on.
All right. This got some news this week. Byron Donald's comparison with the Jim Crow era. I thought this looked bad on us. When I say us, I'm talking about African American community.
Why so?
I think that this young man was just trying to make a comparison to a different time, and he used that era, not to say that Jim Crow was dope. And they tried to push it like he was praising the Jim Crow era. And if you listen to the speech, he said nothing of that type. When they had him on the television shows, I'm talking CNN with Abby Phillips and MSNBC with Joy Reid, he explained his position, and they still tried to gaslight him to make the clip or the interview more interesting, more tumultuous, more eye popping. So to try to create a viral experience, which I think failed. I think they did this. The bottom line is to get the shows popping and bring ratings to it. I think you let an individual explain a situation that might seem controversial. I think when they explain it, you let them go and let them off the hook, period. But when you start putting words in his mouth, like Joy Reid says, you talk about Jim Crow being the golden era, and he says, I never said that. And he kept saying that. She was like, well, you did. And he says, I never said that. He said, Joy, you're gaslighting me right now. This is what you're doing. And I thought that's the bad look. He's an African American. Are y'all doing it because he's a Republican? I don't know. That wasn't necessary. That's what I would say. It wasn't necessary.
Well, I disagree. And I think that what wasn't necessary was for him to use Jim Crow as a reference. I think you're saying they were questioning him to get a viral moment or to make the interview more interesting, but you act as if they told him to say Jim Crow and use it as a reference. He said that. So if he hadn't used those words, then they would have not. They wouldn't be able to say you're referring to Jim Crow as the golden era. So Joy Reid wouldn't have been able to say that if he hadn't used those words. He is an educated man. He, I'm sure, is very articulate and can choose words other than using Jim Crow as the reference, especially when we all saw what happened when Killer Mike brought it up and said that. Everybody was up in arms about it. So I think you're saying Joy Reid and Abby Phillips was trying to get a viral moment or make the interview more interesting. I think Byron Donald was trying to get a viral moment and make himself more popular in the Republican Party so they could see him tap dancing for the Republican Party. I mean, that's the problem I have with him is he's not looking around and seeing what is going on. You didn't see what happened with Killer Mike. And you didn't see what happened with all the other black people who was escaping for the Republican Party. They will chew you up and spit you out when they no longer need you. And so he needs to be passing some legislation that's going to make life better for people in America instead of going around making these incendiary statements. What exactly did he say? He said black people were more there were more fathers in the home during Jim Crow or something. What did he say?
He said that during the Jim Crow era, the black families were more together as a unit, and he said there were more families, and we had to stick together. And what I'm saying to you is, I use Jim Crow as a time period all the time. Now, a lot of that has to do with the course of study, like right before Plessy versus Ferguson, all the way up to Brown v. versus the Board of Education. I don't use it as a term of endearment, or I even talk about its hostility at the time. I thought and I look back at that interview twice, that he only used it in context with time, and that's it. Why aren't we talking more about, to me, why weren't they talking more to him about black family structures? Like, I think they could have went against him to say Republicans. He said Republicans are building families again in like and he didn't say Democrats wasn't, but he said Republicans was, and that's a point of dispute, because I would say there are plenty of black Democrats filling families. And then I'm always saying we're not monolithic. Why are we rebuking folks because they're Republican?
I don't think that's it, though. If he's saying,
we are, because
here's the problem. Let me tell you,
Republicans, if he's a Republican, he's a Republican, period.
Okay, well, let me try to explain to you why people are upset by what he said, because I don't think anyone, and any black person would have a problem with someone saying there was a time when the black family was more together and more unified in America. Nobody will have a problem with that. And that's a good thing, right? Isn't it good for our families, black families, to be unified and together and insular and one big happy family? Yes, we all would love that. That is a beautiful ideal to aspire to. But then when you say that's the way it was during the Jim Crow era, and you're connecting the two, it's as if you're saying that was a good time because that's when black families were together. That even if that wasn't his intention, some people could read it that way. And I think it's dangerous for him to use those words that's going to be fodder for these right-wing extremist Republicans who want to say, see, look, there's a black man who said that the Jim Crow era was good. And so that's why we should probably try to get back to some semblance of the Jim Crow era when things were good for black people. And we're not racist because a black person said it.
Okay, so
let
me counteract that. They brought him onto the show. I can see your plausibility of thinking like, this is how people might think. So we bring him on the show to make sure, is that what you meant? He got on the show. He says, that's not what I meant. He basically said that. He explained that to him. So why are we not giving this black man the benefit of the doubt when he says, I wasn't talking, I only use it in time context? That's it. We should believe him.
Okay, but why couldn't he just, I hear what you're saying, but why couldn't he just say in 1955, black people were more together?
He didn't say it. He didn't say it.
Why didn't he say that?
I don't know. I'm not in his mind.
Okay, but that's my point, is that he specifically chose to use that because he knows that those are buzzwords that are going to get traction and bring attention to him so that they can see that he's a rising star in the Republican Party. Hey, look at me.
That's conjecture to me. That's conjecture. Conjecture is just, that's your opinion on why he used Jim Crow. You don't know why he used it. You're saying he did it to get attention.
Okay, well, here's the problem that I have with it. Okay, if members of the black community, specifically Joy Reid and Abby Phillips, are taking umbrage with you using Jim Crow as a reference, we take umbrage with it and we're upset by it. why would you then double down on it instead of saying, well, you know, Joy, I probably could have used different words. I did not intend to get anyone upset. I did not intend to re-traumatize Black people who clearly view Jim Crow as a horrible time in United States history. That was not my intention. Going forward, I will no longer use that as a reference. No, he didn't say that. He wants to double down on it and fight with her about it.
He did say that. That's why I'm saying I don't know what you're talking about or what you heard. He says, I don't think Jim Crow was a great time. I just used it as a moment of context. That's exactly what he said. He's like, I'm not praising Jim Crow. And when she's like, well, Jim Crow was a horrible era. He said, absolutely. He agreed with you. So I know television. I saw what Joy was doing. It was him answering the question kind of like filleted everything. And what I mean by that, it just calmed everything down to a simmer. It wasn't hot anymore. He answered the question that Abby and Joy gave him. He answered the question that y'all asked to let you know, no, I was not doing that. I'm not praising Jim Crow. What I'm saying is they look at this. Okay, so what do we do now? He said he isn't praising it. So how do we get this going? Because if we just agree with him and say, okay, that's a light story, it doesn't turn out well.
Did they ask him why he didn't? Did he ask why? Did they ask him why he didn't choose other words?
No, they didn't ask him that.
Well, that's what I would want to know, especially in light of what happened with Killer Mike. Like any Black person in America knows that that's not what you want to say. We saw what. There's no way he didn't see what happened with Killer Mike.
You keep bringing up Killer Mike. Maybe I'm forgetting.
Because Killer
Mike. Did he say?
Killer Mike said something very similar that I can't remember.
Like during Jim Crow, we were more together.
Yeah, well, it was something similar to that, and I can't remember exactly what he said. I could try to Google it real quick, but it had it had a very similar backlash to what's happening now with Byron Donald. So I'm like, why would you then go and do the same thing? And I think it's because you're just trying to get attention.
I even don't think this backlash was that big. I don't think they scored where they wanted to score with this. I think this was small change. Even after him being on CNN and being on MSNBC, I didn't think he did. I think he handled himself accordingly. I just think that why try to it's not because he's Black that they were beating him up. They were trying to beat him up because he's Republican. That's what I felt. Because I know Joy Reid does not do anything against Black folks like that, and neither does Abby Phillips. And I'm still fans of both of them. I think they're exceptional journalists. I just thought this exchange could have been better. That's all I'm saying with that.
Okay.
So, all right.
And let us move on.
Here I sit outside your door. Talk to me. Here I sit outside your door. Talk to me.
Talk of the Town, talk of the town. I love that song by Michelle.
Me too.
And Chick. I just think, she set a huge vibe during that time when she came out. But let's jump on to this story. So it's a lot of things going on with Caitlin Clark, right? She didn't make the Olympic team. Kennedy Carter fouled her hard during the game. And they're talking about the attendance. Angel Reese was like, they watching the WNBA for me too. And I don't knock Angel Reese for saying that, but the numbers show what this young lady, Caitlin Clark, is bringing into the WNBA.
Okay, wait, what did Angel Reese say?
She says they're not only watching the WNBA for Caitlin Clark, they're
Oh,
watching
me
it for
too.
me too. And I
No, that's
thought like,
right.
I thought that was arrogant for one. Cause Caitlin Clark don't walk around saying they watching the WNBA because of me.
Because she don't have to. Everybody else is saying it for her.
I know, and I feel bad for her. I really do, because all she does is play basketball. And now that the press has made her the media darling, it seems like there's some slight her way. There's a little bit. I don't want to use the word hate, but there's something there. I'm not going to use jealousy, but there's something there. Like everybody's like, look at me. She ain't this, she ain't that. I'm like, the wave happens when the wave happens.
So you don't feel bad for all the other
No,
members of
because I think they're.
the W
I think.
who've been
I.
playing hard all these
I.
years and
I,
haven't received the
I
same
think.
accolades.
Well, they have received the same accolades, but they're not being marketed like she is.
What do you mean they're receiving the same accolade? They're getting the same endorsements. They're getting the same
Well,
notoriety.
okay. Well, I didn't accolades to me are awards, and things that come with it. But yeah, as far as the sponsorship, no, they're not getting that. But I would tell them like that's not Caitlin Clark's fault.
It's not, but you would. But
Elevate-
I'm just pointing out the fact that you said that you feel bad for Caitlin Clark, but you
I
don't.
do, because she didn't.
You don't feel bad for the black women that's been toiling in the W for all these years without a fraction of what Caitlin Clark is receiving
Well,
now.
I feel,
And that's not to say that we're hating on Caitlin Clark. We're just saying,
wait. I feel bad that the WNBA isn't watched as much as it should be.
right.
I
Okay.
do. And like I said, I've been a basketball fan, both men and women, for a long, long time. I
Right.
ain't new to this game. Also,
You
I
true
was
to it. You ain't new to it. You true to it.
so I've seen a lot of these young ladies. Wow, it's just crazy. Like I've seen them come out of high school, go to college, and then play in the WNBA. And some of these women are like 40 years, like 38, 39, like Diana Taurasi. I remember her journey 20 years ago when she came to University of Connecticut. Myra Moore. These are people I'm saying I think is way better than Caitlin Clark. Diana
Right.
Taurasi, Myra
Right.
Moore, Simone Augustus. I'm not going to say Breonna Stewart. Those are for Candace Parker. Those are names that just jump off my head. Shamika Holdscloth, even though she kind of lost some of her game in the WNBA. What I'm saying is I felt sorry for her because now she's a slight target to no fault of her own. She didn't seek the media out and say, hey, look at me. She didn't seek the media out. I know how television works. They see, oh, look at this person. We're going to ride her. And I would tell a black woman, let them ride that girl. Hope another Caitlin Clark comes out. Hope that y'all can get 17, 18,000 people at these games watching these games, right? Hope y'all can get a bigger television contract, right? You'll get the notoriety then because more eyes will be watching you, and then you'll be like, oh, okay, she's good too. Something that we already know, right? And then, I want to see y'all make more money. I do.
But the thing is I don't think that the other women in the W have a problem with that. I believe they're saying, hey, we'll take the eyeballs any way we can get them. But I think the problem comes in when
There've been
people
shots thrown at her.
By who?
Diana Taurasi.
Well, I don't think there are
Reese.
any. I don't think there's any more shots than any other rookie would get. I mean, because it's like, listen, they all said, listen, I know you were the leading scorer in college and you scored, you have the record and all that stuff from college, but this is not college. This is the W. And this is how we get down here. You're gonna get some hard
They didn't say that to Aaliyah
You're gonna get some hard checks.
They didn't say that. They didn't say that to Aaliyah. Hold on, Aaliyah Boston that came out #1 last year.
You know why? Because Aaliyah Boston didn't have all of the notoriety and the the fanfare that a Caitlin Clark had.
She
And
did.
she came in and she probably, if I were advising Caitlin Clark, and I'm not saying that she didn't do this, what I would suggest, but what I would have suggested to her is, okay, I know you got your shoe contract before you bounced a ball on the WNBA court. I know you've gotten all of this attention and you got all this hype and you got the money and all of that. When you come into the W, please try to have some humility around the other women. Have some humility. Ask questions. Act like, don't act like someone who has all of this notoriety and all of the accoutrements of success. Don't act like that and come in arrogant. And I'm not saying that she has.
She has. That's the thing. So that narrative shouldn't even be spoken of. She has come into the league
because you're in the humility. Because you're in the locker room and you know what's going on in locker rooms.
Well, by all faults, her teammates say she's a great teammate and they like her, and other WNBA players like her. Like I said, I know how media works. They see something real small and they try to drive a wedge into it to have a story about it. This is, like you said, this is not most WNBA players. But what I'm saying is, yeah, she's moving the needle different. You can see that. Like when they showed them stats of folks coming to her games compared to the other, it's double and a little bit more than double.
Well, has that spread throughout the whole league, or is that just
not yet? See, that's what I'm saying. Not yet. Now, wherever she goes to play,
right, that's where the numbers.
Yeah, they get numbers there when she goes to play.
So hopefully, this will spread throughout the whole league.
Well, they got another white girl coming in from Connecticut. Her name is Paige, and if they pump her up like they did Inoscu and they did Caitlin Clark, because you see how they had Inoscu, she plays for the Liberty. They had her have a 3-point contest against Steph Curry. That did wonders for the WNBA.
Right. And did you see I thought it was interesting now that people are saying that Caitlin Clark got snubbed by the Olympics. Yeah. Because they didn't pick her to be on the team.
Right. But she couldn't try out for the team because she was moving on in the tournament with Iowa. Right. I'm not going to say she got
snubbed. Yeah, right.
Well, but what I'm saying is that's what I'm saying is like we jumping on that. Like how she get this is what we're doing. To her, why is there so much vitriol with this? Like, I'm telling y'all complain, and I've been around. Y'all complain about people not watching your sport. This girl is good for your sport, and you hating. Stop doing that. Yeah, they should have put her on the Olympic team. Let her go to Paris and spread basketball.
They should have put her on without her trying out for it.
Yeah, I would have.
Okay.
I would have. Look.
I think you got to stop spreading the narrative that people are hating. Stop doing that. That's not what it is. I think people.
This is what you just said. So she didn't get snubbed. I'm like, look.
She didn't. People tried out.
Right. A lot of this is entertainment. And there's a bottom line. Y'all girls they got mad against the NBA. The NBA is making way more money than they are. Of course, because they have a huge draw. I'm sorry, this is the way business works. So she's coming in helping your business. Spread it around. Let these white girls from Paris and Europe want to play basketball. Let women's basketball get better and better and better and better and better. Y'all did y'all thing. Y'all kept the league around 27 years.
But Shantae, you act like the women in the W are the reason why she's not on the Olympic team. You got to talk to the people who make those decisions.
I'm talking about the people around the WNBA that's having these conversations about her. Like the Stephen A. Smiths and things of that nature, and Shannon Sharp and these folks. What I'm saying is, I understand business and I understand basketball. Would it have made sense to make her Olympic? Well, a lot of people have hated on that. Yeah, they would have. But would it
No,
have done good for the league? Yeah, it would have.
no, but I think that's what Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp are saying. That the who makes these decisions? Is it like the Olympic Committee? I mean, I don't.
No, Stephen and Shannon Sharp said that the WNBA players are hating and they jealous of Caitlin. That's what Shannon.
No, but I'm
Stephen,
talking specifically about this issue of her being snubbed for the Olympics, and Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith saying the people who made these decisions should have put her on the Olympic team because it's about business and drawing eyeballs and marketing the sport across the world. So, but what I'm saying is that the women in the WNBA are not hating. They are not the ones who made the decision whether or not to put Caitlin Clark on the team. So you're mad at the who makes the decision? Is it the Olympic?
They backed the decision that she wasn't on the
Who
team.
made the decision? Do we know? Is it it's not the Olympic Committee because they
it's the basketball coaches and all of them
in the Olympics, but not the Olympic Committee. Okay, so so you're mad at the coaches then? You're not mad at the women of the W and saying they're hating because whatever.
The women in the W, some of them were backing it. Say, yeah, she didn't deserve to make the team. What Shannon and Steven are doing is wrong because they're dividing it. To me, all I would say is if she's your meal ticket, make her your meal ticket.
And listen, I completely understand your argument. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. You said ride the wave. I'm not mad at that. But yeah, let's keep it in proper context.
Am I tripping? Yeah. Am I tripping? Am I tripping? Yeah. But am I tripping? Am I tripping? We got me. Am I tripping? Got me sipping. Got me thinking. Am I tripping?
It's getting more and more difficult to find some scenarios that we haven't already done.
Have you gotten back to the front of the pile?
I think so.
Well,
okay, let's okay, so here's the first one. I've been going to my hairstylist / sister monthly for years. She recently told me that she would have to start charging me, quote unquote, like everybody else to do my hair. I told her, fine, and I'll start charging you to watch your kids, quote unquote, like everybody else. She said I'm being petty by taking her price personally when it's just business. Am I tripping?
Not at all. I agree with you. If I'm doing you a favor, lady, by watching your kids and you ain't paying me a red nickel, yeah, do my hair and shut up.
Exactly. Although nickels aren't red, that would be a dime or a penny.
Yeah.
Wait, what color are? Wait, which coin is red? I think it's a penny.
There's no red. That's copper.
Okay.
And they say that means like they say it ain't worth anything.
Okay. I would have to.
You know how in finances and company, when you in the red, you behind. When you in the black, you up. So
right. Okay. Well,
wouldn't be worth it.
I agree with you. I mean, and that's usually the way it happens in families. Like you barter services. You do this for me, I do that for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. So this is a trip that she thought she was going to start charging, and then I'm not going to start charging you.
Yeah, because if she watching your kids every day, 3 times a week or whatever it is, she only getting her hair done once a month. So.
Okay, so our second scenario, my sister, her husband, and her baby came to stay with me for what was supposed to be a week, but it has been months. I told her she had one more week before they must go. I know she has nowhere else to go, but I'm tired of paying for two adults who are too lazy to work so they can afford their own place. Am I tripping?
I say you're tripping by the timeline of 1 week. Now, if I'm going to tell somebody they got to be out, I'm gonna give them some time more than a week, especially family. Like if you would have told her when she moved in, okay, 90 days is it, then
Mhm.
that's fine. But if you haven't told her anything and it seemed like they could stay, and then after a while they was getting too comfortable, then I can see you saying, okay, look, here's your time limit. But I don't think that time limit should be a week because that's not reasonable.
Well, I don't think that I don't think that she's tripping because I think that if you've made an agreement at the beginning, if they knew that they needed more than 1 week, then they should have said that. Because then she could have said, well, that's not going to work for me, or blah, blah, blah. But it's almost as if you're being deceitful. If you tell somebody, hey, can I stay with you for a week? And then a week turns into a month, turns into 2 months, turns into a year.
But
That's not fair.
she said this. This is why I said she tripping. She says, I know they don't have any place to go. So you gonna give them the week and put them on the street? No,
Well,
give them a month and say, okay, it's
no, but
June 1st. You have to be out by July because now y'all have to looking. Because maybe before they weren't looking. They was like, oh, my sister's taking me in, blah, blah, blah. But if she getting up to go to work all day and they staying home and you see and she sees them when they come home, that's an issue.
exactly. And I think that's what makes it. That's why I don't think she's tripping, because it's like, okay, I said you could stay here, but what is your plan for getting back on your feet? You're not even working. Like, why am I going out working and you're not even working to try to put yourself in a position to get a place? So I'm not. I don't think she's tripping, because it's like, okay, nip it in the bud now, because it's only going to get worse if let them stay indefinitely. That's the thing. It always has to be a plan, because I did the same. And I understand being in a position where you need help. I mean, that's what I did with my brother when I graduated I guess I graduated from law school, and I was living in an apartment. And my plan was I found a house that I wanted to have built, right? So my house was going to be ready in 3 months. So I had a plan. I had a whole plan when I approached my brother, because I knew that he lived in a house and they had extra bedrooms. So I approached my brother and I said, hey, can I stay with you for 3 months while my house is being built, so I can stack up my chips without having to pay rent? I
At
can
an
stack
apartment.
my chips right so I won't have to pay rent at the apartment. I can stay with you, stack my chips up, and then by the time my house is ready, I can move in and I have a little cushion. And that was my plan. And he said yes. And I was gone after 3 months. I stuck to the plan, because people are being generous. People are helping you. And like I said, everybody needs help. But I feel like you have to have a plan, and then you have to stick to it and respect people, what you agreed to. People are being kind to you.
You're
So
not
I
gonna
don't think it,
you're
yeah.
not gonna put your sibling and her child out in the street though.
No, you're not. But see, here's the thing. How do you know? She could have been thinking in the beginning that they could spread the help around. Like, you go stay with this person for a couple of weeks, go stay with that person for a couple of weeks. And although she said, I know they don't have a place to go, my thing is, you got to have the plan up front. And if you have the plan up front before you move in, you got to stick to it. That's my only thing. This sounds like
I
there
mean,
was
I
no
think they
plan.
would have to tell her that too. If you know they don't have a plan and you letting them stay there, then you're just at as much fault as they are.
True. And that's that therein lies the problem. But my thing is I'm not going to say that she's tripping though, because it's reasonable to have an expectation of what you're going to do to help someone. And
I
then
just
she
think
sticks
she's
to that.
only tripping over giving him a week after you done gave him months. It's hard to. I don't know their situation. If they working, okay, yeah, a week or two. I see that they going out, but if they not, come on, they need a job. They need a house. What you gonna do?
And she said, I'm gonna give you one more week. So she did bend a little bit. She said, I gave you a week. I'm gonna give you one more. So she already went past what she agreed to. And let me tell you something, you got to be careful these days, because the other thing is that once you let somebody come stay in your house, guess what? They're tenants. And if people want to be sneaky and mean, they could argue, no, you can't put me out. I'm a tenant. And
I mean,
and trust me, I've seen that
you
happen.
can draw up a contract to make sure that's okay. Here's a 90-day tenant joint.
Especially depending on what state you're in. You got to look at your local landlord tenant laws. But in many states, if someone comes to stay with you like that, you can't just put them out. Trust me, I've seen it happen. And so you got to be careful.
Yeah, you can put stipulations in there, because I remember, like, you have to be gainfully employed, you have to be bringing home a check, blah, blah, blah. If any of these things happen, I got the right to remove you from the property because you costing me more. So there are things, but yeah, who knows? Last one.
By the way, we're playing the Am I Tripping game. This is a game that was created by Reese Colbert. You can purchase this at amitrippinggame.com for about $20, or you can get it on amazon.com as well. Thank you, Reese Colbert, for this fun game. Okay, so our last scenario. I just found out that my cousin was dating my ex-husband months after our divorce was finalized. What in the hillbilly hell is going on here? I would tell her that the reason for our divorce was because he gave me herpes. Oh, but since she betrayed me, she can find out the hard way. No, she didn't. Am I tripping?
Yes, you are. You are tripping. You are tripping.
So you really think that this person did something cruddy like this, and then I'm supposed to help them out? I just found out that my cousin was dating my ex-husband months after our divorce was finalized. That is nasty. How you gonna date your cousin's ex-husband? That's nasty.
How is it nasty?
Because you family. You don't go behind your family like that. That's nasty.
If it's close, yeah, but if it ain't close, who cares? If
what do you mean close?
I mean, if your family, yeah, but that don't mean you close to your cousin.
Okay, so if you knew your cousin dated someone, you wouldn't have a problem dating that person. I
don't. If it's a distant cousin, yeah, I don't mind. If it's a distant cousin,
see, my thing is, I can see if you don't know, like you didn't know, but you know that's your cousin's ex-husband. If you didn't, like you say, it's a distant cousin, you might not know.
Okay, so if you know, yeah, then
that's nasty.
But you still tripping if you don't tell her he got herpes.
No, that's you get what you get.
Gonna be on your mind if she get herpes, and that's your fault. Because I would tell her, I said, I think it's slimy what you're doing, but I just want this off my conscience. He gave me herpes, that's why I left. So be careful.
Oh Lord. I think I'd be like, okay, have at it. I hope you deserve the earning and the burning that you about to get.
You would not do that. You would not do that.
Enjoy that luggage you're gonna be carrying with you for the rest of your life.
Bump it up.
Oh, anyway, yeah, there you have it.
My apologies to folks that have herpes.
I know, not to, yeah.
And let us move on.
Like this, keep on. Never say die, keep on. Like this, keep on.
So today we want to highlight as our little known Black history fact, Waverly Woodson. Waverly Bernard Woodson Jr. was born on August 3rd, 1922 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He is best known for his heroic actions as a combat medic during the Battle of Normandy in World War II. It has been estimated that Woodson's actions during the Battle of Normandy saved the lives of as many as 200 soldiers, both black and white. Woodson ultimately received a Purple Heart, but the Philadelphia Tribune wrote that the feeling is prevalent among Negroes that had Woodson been of another race, the highest honor, a Medal of Honor, would have been granted him. Waverly Woodson Jr. died on August 12, 2005 in Gaithersburg, Maryland at the age of 83. He was buried with military honors in Arlington National Cemetery. His papers were donated to the Langston Hughes Memorial Library Special Collections at his alma mater, Lincoln University. Waverly Woodson, our little known Black history fact.
And let us move on.
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Sorry. 3 black passengers sue American Airlines alleging racial discrimination following odor complaint. So to be sure, this came out like last week. There were some African American males on the plane that were escorted off the plane. Not just them, there were other male passengers too that they took off the plane, and they said it was racial discrimination. One of the flight attendants said he did smell an odor coming from one of the passengers that was reeking very bad. So that was their decision, or reasoning, I should say, to get them off the plane. But the plane sat for a while, then they were let back on. But it was discriminatory because just because one person is smelling, there were several people that they kicked off the plane besides these 3.
And I think it's when they got off the plane, they realized, hey, we all look alike. Why is it a bunch of black people standing over here that just got kicked off the plane? And that's when the antenna went up.
Yeah. That.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think that's strange, especially when they were eventually let back on the plane. Like, what was that about?
I don't know, but, good luck with the suit. Hope everything works out for them.
And let us move on.
Give it up, give it up, give it up, yo. Give it up, give it up, gotta give it up. Give it up, give it up, give it up, yeah. Give it up, give it up.
So welcome baby number 4, Steph and Aisha Curry. I don't have the baby's name. Do you have it?
The couple welcomed their 4th child. His name is Caius Chai Curry. He was born on Saturday, May 11th. And here's an interesting fun fact about the Curry.
That was their first boy, right?
No, they have a son. Their younger son is named Cannon. He's 5 years old.
Oh, okay.
But here's a fun fact about the Curry family. July is a special month for their family because they tied the knot. They got married in July 2011. They welcomed their first daughter, Riley, who's 11, in July of 2012. They welcomed their second daughter, Ryan, who's 8, in July 2015. And their son, Cannon, who's 5, was born in July of 2018. So this baby came and defied the odds and said, you know what? I'm not going to be born in July. I'm going to be different from my siblings. I'm going to be born on May 11th. So that's very interesting, though, that they had so many July births.
Yeah, and their honeymoon, well, their anniversaries in July.
Well, I think that exactly. I think they probably timed it to not coincide with the season,
Yeah.
and so I think this time the baby came a little early because they admitted that they tried to time it around the Olympics because Steph is going to the Olympics, so they wanted to be able to take the baby with them to where's the next Olympics? Paris, right?
Yeah, Paris.
There you have it. Congratulations, Caius Chai Curry. That's
Let
a lot
us
of
move
C's.
on.
Triple C.
Somebody pray for me. Somebody pray for me. Somebody pray for me. Somebody pray for me.
Okay, we got sad news. Jerry West dies at the age of 86. Those who watch basketball, if you see the 75 and the diamond, the silhouette is Jerry West. They always called him the logo. He played in the 60s and the 70s. He's from West Virginia. Tough life, but made it to the professional levels and has been a part of building franchises. He's responsible for drafting Kobe Bryant. So yeah, give it up to Jerry West and his family. Our condolences and prayers out to Jerry West. Any words?
I echo your sentiments.
All right, that brings us to a close today. So to start off, the words of wisdom came from W.E.B. Du Bois. And he said, education is the development of power and ideal. Our stories and what's going on, how it takes away Diddy's honorary degree. Ivy League prioritizes activism at the expense of academics. Other schools rise to the top for employers. Wendell Pierce denied an apartment in Harlem, and Byron Donald chastised for using or comparing a time to Jim Crow. Our talk of the town was Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. We had that discussion. And our little known Black history fact was Waverly Woodson. All hell no went to American Airlines. We gave it up to Steph and Aisha Curry for baby number 4. And prayers go out to Jerry West for dying and passing at the age of 86. He'll be missed. And as always,
thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us. And as always, in parting, we wish you love, peace, and knowledge to feed your soul.
Knowledge to feed the soul. I'll see y'all next week.